Hello, it's me, Hassan, and I'm still fucking terribly hot. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Sunday Sessions. Today we're doing something a little bit different. Basically, we're cooking a dish out front on a gas burner. I can't bring it out here. So there's gonna be a lot of like stops and starts in different locations. Today we're making a lovely Iberico pork chop with potatoes a la pobre, which is poor man's potatoes, which is basically loads of caramelized onions. I've cut these onions like 2 centimeters thick. We're gonna caramelize in loads of olive oil. And then a couple red peppers, using everything in Spain. Parboil some potatoes over there on the stove. We're gonna slice them, cook them down. It's just like a sweet, delicious side. It's things that grow in gardens here. It's things that are in everyone's pantries. Like if we talk about Italians having parsley, garlic and chilies, Spain is potatoes, onions and peppers, right? So we're gonna run you through this outside, then we're gonna come back here to grill a pork chop. Come on in. Right, so as you can see, we're outside, different location. You probably can't see the stuff around us because it's really bright. Stove's backwards because the back end of it's got a gas cylinder in it and it's not as pretty. But we're just gonna cook off our onions and peppers, right? So, loads of olive oil. This isn't like the good quality stuff, bog standard, extra virgin cooking shit, yeah? That'll do. Now I can smell my olive oil's heated up. I'm gonna go in with all these onions, right? Huge crack of salt. Let the onions start to release their juices and make them caramelize and go sweeter quickly. I know this pan looks novelty, but the bigger the pan, the more surface area, the quicker these onions will cook down. So I've gone for the biggest pan that we've got. And it just means that they've all got time to touch the bottom of the pan and get the heat inside them, right? Right, so we wheeled that fucking thing outside. The wind blew it out. We got frustrated and I built the world's biggest fire. Look at the fire. Built a ferocious fire, right? In an uncontrolled environment, burn your house in minutes, but ideal temperature for caramelizing onions. So I don't want any color on these onions, so I'm gonna watch them and stir them. They still got the salt in, just olive oil, no color, just nice and translucent. You know those guys that they work in the ironmongers and they go in, they pull the iron out and they're like, oh, that's how I feel, bro. I swear to God, I'm fucking cooking. So I've gone super heavy on onion content. I've done 5 white onions to about 5 potatoes. I feel like the onion with it being poor man potatoes, the onion's where all the depth and flavour comes from. Otherwise, it's just like peppers and potatoes. The onions is what's going to give you the sweetness, the luxuriousness, the deliciousness. You're not going to get that from just cooking the other two vegetables. So take your time with your onions, make sure they're sweet and delicious, seasoned. Otherwise, it's just like fucking 3 bits of veg. You want it to all come together and be great. Onions are nice and sweet. If I go any further on these onions now, they're going to take too much colour on, so I'm going to add my peppers, add a little bit more moisture to the pan. And again, we want them nice, wilty, sweet, almost like you're making a fajita kit. The peppers I quite like a bite on, so I don't want to cook them for too long. I don't want them to be like soft and wilted. I don't want it all to be the same consistency. I want a little bite from like an al dente potato, a little bite from an al dente red pepper, and then the onions just to be there to bind everything together in sweetness. So peppers have been cooking about 3 or 4 minutes. I'm now going to add the potatoes. And here, I've got 5 bog standard potatoes. Cut them down to about 1 centimetre in size. And I'm just going to bang these in the pan. Pobre's done. Let's move on to the protein. We've got these beautiful Iberico pork chops. When in Spain, one must eat Iberico. They're allowed to graze naturally and they feed themselves acorns, amongst other things, but it gives the meat like a deeper, nuttier, richer flavour, right? I was torn between putting garlic in the potatoes or on the pork chop, so I'm going pork chop in it. I kind of want a garlicky hum. I like the way garlic like caramelizes and like intensifies on meat on the grill, right? So in this beautiful pestle and mortar that I might steal, 3 cloves of garlic. You've seen this before. 3 cloves of garlic. A nice bit of salt, just to help the abrasion. And then we're gonna whack the shit out of it. Garlic paste. I like to always add the oil into the pestle and mortar, just to help it spread. Olive oil in, give it a little swirl about, and then we're just gonna pour this on top of the pork chops. So, olive oil's in, just gonna pour this garlicky olive oil. It's gonna need a little more just so that it can spread. And then I'm just gonna rub this in with my hands all over. It's nice looking chop that one. Little dark spot, end of the cap. Now, our grill's pretty much up to temperature after blasting the shit out of our potatoes. So I'm just gonna season this with salt. I know we put salt in the garlic, but it's not enough. Want a nice coverage of sea salt. All the way down the fat cap on both sides. Also, how the fuck do we not have a Maldon sponsor yet, bruv? Piss take. Sponsor us, man. Maldon, all over, not just salt, Maldon salt from Essex in the UK. Not far from us, actually. And then I'm gonna put some pepper on once it's done. This is a really basic dish. It's one of those dishes that's so basic that it can be intimidating. If you miss a step or get the cooking of your onions wrong or overcook your pork chop, you can be in a territory where, oh, this is fucking shit. But if you get it right and you source really good pork and you cook everything methodically and like to the T, it's one of those dishes that's like, rah, I've cooked 4 fucking things and it's great. I'm not gonna let those marinate for long. I'm literally gonna stand up, turn around and put them on the grill and just look after them gently. Don't want any burnt garlic, I don't want any bitterness. I just wanna slowly, both sides. Serving it medium rare because it's high quality, it's high in value. It's high quality, it's pigs that have been allowed to graze and wander, brought up in a nice way, and all meat here is served pretty much raw. From pork to beef, it's all very pink, juicy and delicious. So I'm doing the same. Right, so we've been cooking 4 minutes. Got a really deep colour on these pork chops. Gonna do 4 minutes again and then rest. Four minutes each side. Gonna pull. We've got 2 very beautiful pork chops, just garlic. Gonna let them rest. Pork chop is done and rested. I flashed the Povray, so it's not up to temperature. Just needs a tiny, tiny, tiny season. Little crack of salt. And then food and necessity, things you've all got, salt and pepper. Let's put a fuck ton of pepper in this. And I'd say that this amount of Povray would feed 5 people, easy. It's like 5 potatoes, 4 onions, 2 big red peppers. Job's a good one. Looks a bit like hash. Lazy Susan. So I'm cheating a little bit on this recipe. In Spain, by Aioli, innit? By Aioli. Loads of different tubs. We had this argument at dinner a couple of nights ago. Is it in butter? Is it oil? Is it just emulsified? No one fucking knows, innit? Buy this shit, you can get it at home. And also, I want a little bit of acidity to our dish. So, I've got this really happy man who is selling us peppers. This is gonna provide a sweetness, a little pickle, a little... And basically all we gotta do is plate. So I've got some Povray, a nice big pork chop, whack of aioli, and then just a couple dressed peppers. Now when you go to someone's house and you graze and there's bits and bobs at a barbecue, it's the kind of plate that you fix yourself at a barbecue. Just gonna go one beautiful charred and dressed red pepper on the side. So if you wanna know how to dress the peppers like this, there's a recipe in my buttermilk chicken, links here. Shout out, George. I'm being lazy today, it's hot. I really couldn't be bothered to peel peppers in the sun. And then the last thing I want is a wodge of bread. And that, ladies and gentlemen, poor man's potatoes, rich man's pork, lazy man's peppers, and supermarket aioli. Spain. That way. I'll check off the rest of those. That flavour on the plate. Something we can dunk our bread into after. It's raw, it's raw. It's not fucking raw. It's a Berrico. To cook it any more than that is blasphemous. A little bit of pork, aioli, potato, pepper, bread. Easy midweek meal. Buy some pork chops at the end of the week, potatoes and whatever in your Saturday shop. Tuesday, pork chops knocking about, some onions, some potato, a couple dressed peppers, and protein. It's pretty much everything you want and need on a rainy night in the winter. Por favor. Uno más. Claro. Venga. Cerveza. El Puerto. Sacapuntas. Albóndigas. Iniesta. Thanks for watching, guys. Thank you. Ciao. Just want a beer and sit by the pool.
Chop House Films.
Can you say films?
Film.
Films.
Films.